If you're like me, you're concerned with your grocery budget. Bills seem to keep piling up, and yet you want to feed your family healthy foods. One solution to that is dehydration. To help us explore that subject today, we have Tammy Gangloff to join us on the Dollar Restrictor interview. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Now, Tammy is from Dehydrate2store.com and co-author of the Ultimate Dehydrator Cookbook. Tammy, for somebody like me who's not that familiar with it, what is dehydration?
Well, dehydrating is the process of removing the water from your food, creating a petrified state. It offers incredible benefits and nutritional value versus canning and freezing. For example, if you're freezing your food, you lose 40 to 60% of the nutrients. If you're canning your food, you lose 60 to 80% of the nutrients. However, if you're dehydrating your food, you only lose 3 to 5% of the nutrients. It has a longer shelf life than canning and freezing. Your shelf life is anywhere from 5 years to 20 years to 30 years, depending on the items. It doesn't require electricity. If the electricity goes out, your food doesn't spoil. It's lighter weight, so it's top choice for backpackers and travelers and campers. There's a tremendous amount of value to dehydrating your food versus canning and freezing.
Now, I'm sure that just like freezing foods, there's some foods that probably dehydrate better than others. What types of food are good candidates for dehydration?
Anything that is edible is a great candidate for dehydrating food. However, you have to keep in mind anything with a high oil or fat content will have a shorter shelf life.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a couple of different lifestyles. You know, for our readers, our viewers here today, in that what type of lifestyles are most likely to become dehydrators?
Well, people who are self-reliant, that are interested in, for example, concerned with job loss or weather conditions, food inflation, or moms that are really interested in just having a fast, easy, affordable way of providing meals in a snap.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we deal some with canning on our website, but that takes some experience and some knowledge. How tough is it to get started?
On dehydrating?
Yes.
It's absolutely easy. The only thing that you need is a really good dehydrator. If you start with a good quality dehydrator, remember, a carpenter is as good as his tools. A poor dehydrator will offer up poor results. So you want a really good dehydrator, one preferably with the fan on the back that pushes the air across the food. The ones that are stackable pushes the air down through the foods, and sometimes the drying isn't as even. So I think that if you get a good dehydrator, that's your first step.
And now, roughly how expensive is a good dehydrator? Can you give us kind of a range?
They'll run anywhere from $75 to $200, depending on how many racks are in the dehydrator. Now, I recommend getting a dehydrator with as many racks as you can, because you're going to kick yourself if you don't. Dehydrating is an addiction. Once you start, you will not stop. It is incredible.
And now, for a beginner, somebody like me who's never done it before, what kind of foods would you suggest that I start with?
Well, like anything that you start with, first of all, if you start with frozen, like you take frozen foods and you can actually dehydrate them so that you can stretch the shelf life of your frozen foods out, because we know that you can only keep food so long in a freezer before it becomes freezer burn. So if there's a sale on frozen items, all the prep work has already been done for you. So the only thing you have to do is open the bag, throw it on your dehydrator trays, and dry it out, and put it in jars, and then it's virtually indestructible. So, but anything, dehydrating is easy, and I don't want anybody to think that it's hard. It's an easy way of preserving your food. It doesn't require as much work as canning. There's no sweat involved.
Well, fantastic. I had no idea that it was really that easy. Now, I know you're responsible for the website, Dehydrate2store.com, and we'll put a link on this afterwards. And you're also a co-author for the book, which you were good enough to send me a copy, the Ultimate Dehydrator Cookbook. Tell us a little bit about the website and the book here.
Okay, well, the website started years ago. I would go around to all the co-ops and churches and I would do classes on dehydrating. And I'd come home and my son would say, well, how was your class? And I'd say, oh, maybe 10 or 15 people would show up. And I said, gee, I wish I could reach more people. And he said, well, Mom, why don't you do a YouTube video? And I said, what's a YouTube video? We started the YouTube video, and a couple years later, I was at one of my classes, and the man was putting all the chairs out, and he had about 50 chairs out, and I'm thinking, oh, I feel really sorry for him. He's going to have to put all those chairs away because I'm not going to get that many people. And as I'm setting up my table, I look up, and pretty soon the entire room is filled. There's not a chair available. There's only standing room only. And at that moment, I realized I was reaching people. And I think that was a major turning point where I said, yeah, this is really working. 2 years ago, a publisher contacted me and asked me, would you like to do your own book? And I said, I would love to do that. So that's how it started.
And I assume it's available at Amazon and on your website and
Yeah.
places where normally books are sold?
Yes, eventually it'll be in all the bookstores. Right now, I don't think it's in the bookstores, but it's heading that way. So eventually we'll find it in every bookstore.
Fantastic. Well, Tammy, we appreciate you coming in and giving those of us who aren't that familiar with dehydration some basic information. We invite our viewers to visit your website, dehydratetostore.com. And take a look for the book. And also visit thedollarstretcher.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We thank you for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you again.